Hey folks, so it turns out through technical error, my microphone was off, and I went and threw out a ton of wisdom, and it got lost into the ether. So here's take number two of the same conversation I just had about Mythborn and about the combat systems that are outlined within the world. So a little background. My background is 40 years training in full contact karate. My combat instructor was a grandmaster, one of the last of the sort of real grandmasters that are out there. He's a very scary, dangerous man, Manny Agrella, and he teaches a style called Tong Long Wushu. He is 80 something. I'm not even sure how old he is now at this point, but definitely a mentor, a great man, and a true martial artist in the deepest sense of the word. And I have nothing but the highest respect for him. So I am one of the last of the Tolong black belts that were made, and his history and the black belts that he created were, my instructors and some of the best martial artists I've ever known in the world. They were deadly to a real degree, scary in every way you could think of that's scary, so focused and so dangerous. Danger, it seemed almost like an aura that like seeped out of their skin when I used to train with them. I never thought I would become a black belt. In the sense that I never thought I was good enough. But, 20 years of training, and it turns out you can be good at anything if you take 20 years to do it, 20 or 30 years. So, when I earned my black belt finally, after 23 years of training, it was a singularly amazing moment. I had learned more in the martial arts in those 23 years before I got my black belt than I think many black belts learn in a lifetime of training. I trained to fight against various styles, specifically how to beat guys in judo, how to beat guys who trained in mixed martial arts, how to beat guys in ground fighting, how to beat Shotokan people who come straight, Taekwondo people and Kung Fu people and all different kinds of arts. My instructor spent a lot of time training his black belts to be to understand the style they were going against, and then to understand how to counter some of the habits those styles taught people. Now, I'm not denigrating any of those styles. The fact is, people out there are some deadly dangerous folk who I never trained with and never trained with me, and they are exceptional in what they do. And the reason why martial arts is so amazing and so great is because they're all just different paths up the same mountain. When I started training, I learned very basic techniques. I learned back fist, side kick, roundhouse kick, reverse punch, just really, really basic white belt techniques. And then as I went up the ranks, you learn all these complex moves and cool stuff and hurricane kicks and stuff in the air and stuff on the ground. And when I finally started fighting, though, like in full contact in the black belt ring, guess what? Everyone threw basic techniques. Back fist, side kick, roundhouse kick, reverse punch. No one was throwing that fancy schmancy stuff in the middle. They were all back to the basics, and it was about execution. Executing that technique with the timing and the discipline, that was victory. That was what spelled out victory. It wasn't knowing some secret technique. It wasn't having some magical reversed fist iron palm punch that you had perfected. It was about executing at the moment without failure. And I think when I wrote Mythborn, I really tried to capture that kind of, the word I think I'm looking for is, there's not a lot of second chances when you make a mistake in fighting, right? You can make a couple of mistakes, but in general, people don't fight and give you and give you a break when you make a mistake. If they're trained well, not only will they read the mistake you made, but they will double, triple come in on you and take advantage of that mistake. Because in the end of the day, it's about surviving. So nobody cuts you slack because you're having an off day. And the difference in the full contact ring between the guy who took first place and the guy who took last place in 600 black belts fighting that day was tenths of a second. It wasn't like that guy sucked and this guy was awesome. It was that guy was on today and that guy was off today. That's all. It wasn't anything else but that. And so I think one of the things that I really wanted to try and get across in the combat systems in Mythborn was the fact that it's not that you won't make mistakes. It's that as you go across if a perfect fight, if the imaginary perfect fight were a straight line with no variance, everybody goes up and down the line a little bit, right? They all make mistakes. You cross that line a little bit. That's the variance. The difference in whether it's a big up and a big down or a tiny up and tiny down is the difference between a white belt doing this and a black belt doing this, right? Variance. The variance off this perfect line is what training is about. You train to reduce the amount of variance in what you do. Consistency is what equates lethality in combat. I had an instructor, he was a Persian guy. He used to say all the time, force times speed equals damage. And I used to get a kick out of that, just listening to him say that, because he'd say it with this really heavy sort of, Arabic accent, force times speed equals damage. And he'd tell the white belts this over and over again. And last week we talked about the Baracorian lions, and we talked about Even Sea and the Tears, and how the Baracor folks were, the equivalent of the army of Eden. They're like the armed forces. They were the army. And Even Sea was the Marines. Today we're going to talk about Shornhelm and the Shornhelm Fists. They are a group to the south, and they inhabit a fortress called Shornhelm. And the Fists are your quintessential heavy-duty, heavy force, right? They are the force times speed equals damage guys, right? They go straight in, they hit hard, they wear heavy armor, they use weapons that have weight. They don't dance, they don't have rapiers, they don't do the what they would probably call the gymnasticata or whatever you want to call it, that the prancing around. To their minds, you walk in, you take your lumps, and you give your lumps, and you just give lumps harder than you take, and that way the guy goes down, or the girl goes down. And so their combat philosophy is relatively simple. Hit harder than you get hit. Their martial arts style is relatively straightforward, as in straight in, straightforward. But what I love about them is they're unapologetic about the idea that the fancy schmancy moves work. In their minds, you're back to the basics. You just do the stuff that you know how to do, the basic techniques, and you execute them flawlessly. And that to them is victory. And you know what? They're right. That is how they win. And so the Shornhelm Fists are a group in Eden who, like I said, they protect the southern border of the Altan Wastes. They are embodied within the fortress of Shornhelm. Their logo and their flag is a fist under a crown. And that is sort of how they see themselves. They are a fist. And they are fond of saying ultimately that any one finger can be broken, but when you put them together in a fist, very hard to hurt even the smallest one because they stick together. So I really enjoy that. As far as the writing and what I think as you read Mythborn you'll enjoy is I really took a different tact than your typical Hollywood half an hour long fight. There's a lot of build-up to a fight in terms of psychologically, emotionally, physically. But when the fight starts, in the books and in real life, I pulled from what I know. And what I know is things happen fast. and they happen fast, and they happen in a way that rarely is to your advantage. You have to survive. To survive, you have to adapt. You have to see what's going on, and you have to take advantage of it. And the fact is, you know, I want to say that there are. I used to think there were like magic moves growing up. I was 10 years old when I started training, and I trained until I was, you know, in my mid-40s. I'm 50 now, and I think that the training that I went through, including training in China, training in, you know, monasteries and in Zhongshan and other places, training in my instructor's house. I trained 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for 30 plus years. And then I started training people for the same amount of time. You don't learn better than by teaching someone else something. By teaching someone else, that's a great way for you to perfect what you're doing. So, you know, when I wrote The Combat in Mythborn, I really focused on the idea that there aren't too many second chances in fighting. If you make a mistake, chances are you're going to be on your butt. If you make a mistake with the wrong person, chances are you're going to be dead. There's not a lot of forgiveness in fighting for people who don't take the moment seriously. In fact, I think one of the best things you learn through the martial arts is that every moment might be your last, and you have to step in and step up. If you don't, whatever happens to you, it is the result of your own actions. The fact is, and this is the absolute truth, nobody rises to the level of expectation. Everybody falls to the level of their training. That is the truth, right? So in my books, when I write, people don't rise to the level of their expectations when it comes to them being this awesome warrior or whatever. They don't rise to that. They fall to the level of their training. If they've trained hard, if they have taken it seriously, they fall to that level. If they have slacked off, if they've taken, you know, the easy way out, sure, they might have gained rank or something because they wanted to move forward, but it'll show in the fight if they skipped the things. There's no short, easy, quick, fake path to being a good fighter. It's just dedication and training. And the only person you cheat when you cheat in training is yourself. I used to really think there was magic moves. I really did. I was saying that earlier. You know, I was 10 years old, and one day my instructor took me aside, and he was like, "If there were magic moves, I would teach them to you. I would tell you what they are, so I could get you out of here because you're frustrating." It's like I had 2 left feet, 2 left hands. I couldn't do anything right. But the thing is, in his point to me was, if there were an easier way to do it, he would train us to do it the easiest way possible. He didn't enjoy the frustrating years it took to undo bad habits and to train you into being a certain way when it came to combat. It's a frustrating job for an instructor. And as an instructor training kids and adults, after I got my black belt, I understood what he meant. If there was an easy way for me to teach you something, I will teach it to you. I'll show you the easiest way possible. It's up to you to train hard and to make those actions become instincts. And in my books, all the combat is taken into account as if they were instincts, as if they are people who understood that the language that they spoke when it came to combat was a difference between life and death. If they didn't practice, if they didn't take it seriously, they in fact were condemning themselves to death at a very early age. And that's how brutal and serious the combat is in Mythborn. So the Shornhelm Fists, they are, you know, like I said, the southern fortress of Shornhelm. They have a brutal style of in and out. They don't dance around. They believe in force times speed equals damage. That's the way they sort of think of things. And And I love them for that. They're just easy to love because they're just so simple in the way they look at life and they look at the way things should be working. Next week, we're going to talk about Dawnlight and their fighting style. They're the mountain to the north. The first place the sun touches Eden is the peak of Dawnlight. And so I'm looking forward to going over their martial arts style next week and teaching and talking and sharing with you guys how I get inspired and when I write, how I try and bring my 40+ years of training into every page and into every situation. So when you read it, it feels real and it feels right. That was my goal when I came up with the various combat styles that you will see in Mythborn. Guys, have a great week. I'm sorry for the technical problem earlier. Hopefully this one has sound. I'll know pretty quickly because everyone keeps hitting me up with with feedback. Sorry I wasn't wearing my Mythborn shirt this time. I got it's in the laundry. But my next favorite character in the world is Superman. So we'll see if there's some way I can fold many different kinds of things in together. In the meantime, please stay fans, stay true, and enjoy life. Read Mythborn. Say hi. Take care.